So I'm going to say first, good morning. It's Friday, the 20th of May. So what are your thoughts about what's been happening in this market? I mean, it's just, I looked at some of the things in the food industry, and I don't have any of the tickers offhand. Tyson's was one, I think. Let me see if I can find it. TSN, Tyson Food. And I was like, what happened to them? So, I mean, I don't know if there's any news. I mean, I had it bearish on the monthly chart, but I mean, 2 days ago, and they had apparently a decent earnings report because here, before market, they had their earnings come out and the stock rallied. Next day, it went up higher, and of course, it got affected by all of the downside movement in the market. But then, on Wednesday, something happened, and I can't find any news that actually says why it fell the way it did. So that's just really interesting. I just think it may present a buying opportunity. So I went through a couple of things, and I looked at for Friday. I like Airbnb where it is here because this is the 5-day EMA, which is at 114, and then it doesn't have any real resistance until 131. So that's a nice move, and it's above 114.17 now in the pre-market. It's at 117.15. So I'm going to put that on my list to watch for trade today. And there are a couple of others. Boeing, they launched their rocket successfully. I think it was yesterday. And they have some struggles. They've been consolidating down here in this level. But I mean, goodness gracious, they've fallen from grace. And here is a consolidation. So this could be an opportunity for a breakout. So I'm going to add them to the list as well. They have a pretty high ATR at $8. And since today is Friday, you can pick up some things at a decent price because premiums are cheap and same day expiration. So yeah, I saw a couple of others that met that same criteria. Coin, which fell because of that news that that if they went bankrupt, people could lose all their crypto investment. And that was here. And of course, they fell considerably after this earnings report, but they bounced and they seem to be finding their footing. So I think that this could be a nice move to the upside as well, maybe for a long-term hold, but it has a high ATR, $14. So if it breaks this consolidation today, that could be a really nice move to the upside. Oil and gas always, of course. CBX, Cyber, Datadog, and of course our favorite Devon. I looked at Devon, so the 5-day EMA is at 69.49, and Devon is currently at $70.57. So it's going to open above that. So we know that it will have support at that 5-day EMA level. So it looks like it's going to bounce here and open to the upside. So Devon could be an oil and gas choice for today. And just some really nice setups. I haven't traded EPAM, but I know a lot of folk that do. And it looks like it's breaking out of a consolidation here. It's kind of expensive. And Today it's not that bad. The spread is just so wide. That's the unfortunate thing. So this is one that I've been following, ESC, Exelon. And the reason for that is this consolidation. So let me show a chart for the year. So it had this nice, strong move up. And we see this pattern a couple of times, right? You see the nice move to the upside. Well, starting here, move to the upside, then you get a consolidation, then a long run to the upside. It then declines. You get a consolidation, long run to the upside, declines, consolidation. Again, a run, consolidation. Here, this is a mini consolidation, and then this move here. So now you got the same thing. You got this really strong move to the upside, and this decline and this consolidation. And it appears that the 50-day EMA, the red line, holds it pretty well. So I like ESC. It's relatively inexpensive, 47.35. The ATR is $1.26 a day. And I think the premiums are relatively cheap. So in the money calls are between 65 and 45 cents. That's the 71 delta. So that's actually pretty good. And even going into next week, still, you can get a 55 delta in the money call for $1.65. That might be a better choice. That's a $47 call. That's not going to be the case when it opens because it's going to open higher. But I think it's ready now to make this move to the upside. So it should be bullish. And they're in the oil and gas space. ESC is a supplier for oil and gas industries. Let me see what it says about them. EXC helps put in the correct ticker. So EXC are the utility services holding company. Okay, so power generation is what they do. They own Commonwealth Edison, Pico Energy, Baltimore Gas and Electric, Pepco. They are actually the ones who own our power company. So this might be a nice choice here. And Expedia, which got beaten down really badly for some apparent reason, while all of the, it seemed like the travel industry was screaming to the upside. Expedia here, and I showed it as bearish on the monthly and weekly. I should have bought puts, would have been nice. Expedia here, after earnings, just crashed and burned. I mean, it fell from 179 to 119. So it looks like it may be finding support. And it has an ATR of $9.64. So it's a favorite of mine for the day. The question is if it can stay above this 5-day EMA at 125. It's currently 127 and 24 cents. Another is a Chinese stock, FUTU Holdings. They are the Robinhood of China, and they've fallen from $181 to $33. So I think that might be an opportunity here as well. So I'm going to add them. And one thing I found interesting is IIVI. So this is a company that provides support and supplies Apple. They make components for the iPhone, the iPad, etc. And it's very volatile. But yesterday they had a violent fall. I was expecting them to be strong to the upside, but I guess because Apple got hurt, so did they. And this was a huge fall yesterday. So it hit a high of 63.40 and a low of 58.54. And have an ATR of 323. So I will be looking for some kind of bounce here today if in fact the market's going to be green as people look for value. So just going to add that. So we are really close. I'm going to also put Tesla on that list. SPY, VIX, PLTR. And I'm going to go to my setup. Let's give it a couple of minutes. Looking at my charts, look like Tesla just fell off the boat. Not really sure what's happening, but all right. So have you had a chance to use that new indicator, the opening range breakout, Princess?
No, I haven't yet. I tried to upload it, but I kind of had an issue with it. So no, I haven't.
All right, let me know if you need help today. I can help you with that.
Thank you.
Good morning, David.
Hey, good morning, Richard.
What do you think is going to happen today in this crazy market?
Well, we had puts on Deere, bought them, for earnings, and this market really, for some reason, kills these companies on earnings. I mean, so we'll cover that. Probably gonna get a little pullback because we think the VIX at 2820 is pretty good support. So I'd watch that level for the VIX as far as the overall market, 2820.
2820. Okay. Okay.
So short, we would be shorting we shorted the S&P this morning, which is the SPY.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're not expecting it to climb. You think it has reached its peak for today?
Just real short term. I mean, we might scalp it for 30 minutes. I mean, no, that's not an overall pick. That's just what we did, early, as a hedge.
Yeah.
But we've got, Deere will be a bit, down 22 on better than expected earnings. That's, I don't know. That's crazy about this market.
All right. So looking like we've got some indecision here. So I see the VIX hitting support right here at 2855. There's an ATR trailing stop on the 5-minute. The SPY also has support. I'm interested in Tesla and how that news is going to affect them today. I'm also interested in Airbnb, Boeing, Coin. So it looks like the VIX is falling through that support level. And the SPY is finding support. I tell you what, the volatility in this market is just absolutely bananas. I mean, it's just crazy. So the VIX has fallen through a key level of support. We'll see if that continues to be the case. Are you still in Devon, David?
Yes, yeah. But that's long term now. Yeah, we had some, we took half our position and off in the 75 calls for May 27th. So yes.
So we do have weakness this morning. It does look like the VIX is going to hold that support level. So I'm just going to watch here because, so you think the market's going to open, initially decline, and then move up? Or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, open, come back, and then hold the lows. I mean, I would wait. Yeah. Again, the 2820 is important on the VIX. I think if it breaks that to the downside, eventually we will go much higher.
You don't think that'll be today?
Oh, it could be today. Sure, it could. Yeah, the S&P has been, the market's been beaten down so much. It's got, I think your risk is to the downside versus the upside.
You mean on the market overall?
Yeah, I think your risk being short. The risk is.
Oh, okay, okay. I got you. Yes, I'm watching the SPY here, and it's declining on the 5-minute. Can't really tell. It's just it's just bouncing around. Everything's bouncing around right now. So that news on Tesla, I mean, they've been really getting hammered. The ESG thing, and then of course the suit, the settlement, the Elon Musk settlement was another issue. So I'm just curious how that's going to affect them today. They're up in the pre-market, but they've given much of that back. The SPY was up considerably in the pre-market, and the same is true. It's given most of it back. But the one thing I've learned is you can't make any determinations early because the market will do what the market's going to do. And it may look like it's going to head down, and next thing you know, it turns up, or it may look like it's going to head up, and next thing you know, it turns down. So I like, again, FUTU. And I do like Airbnb as well. So Boeing had some good news yesterday with the launch of its successful launch of its rocket. I think coin could present an opportunity this morning. Devin is already off to the races. And I like EXC. Expedia could present an opportunity as well. Looking at Expedia, so 125.79 is where the 5-day EMA is. The spread is just so wide on the options. For that reason, it's going to have to come off my list. I think it's a good choice today, but the spread is just too wide. All right, so we may get some positive movement here on the SPY. So I'm going to check these and check the spreads. Airbnb is wide as well, so it comes off. Boeing, so-so. Coin. Devin is fine. I like EXC. Are you in K-Web still, David?
Yes.
I'm going to add K-Web to the list here. So we've got 10 minutes. Let me check the 5-minute chart. So we've got an inside candle here on FUTU. If I break this, I'm going to actually get into a trade on this. Based on the inside candle. So we don't have our ORB set yet, but based on the fact that this is an inside candle, and I'm on a 5-minute chart, I went ahead and made that decision to enter. Let me go back to my 1-minute chart here. All right, so we have a falling VIX. I'm gonna go to a 5-minute chart and see if we can identify any others that meet that criteria. So EXC is also an inside candle.
24, we're sold out. Now look at how short-term this miserable market is. They listen and care about the 6 months, but do they even think about the fact that they're sold?
All right, so EXC is an inside candle, and so is FUTU, and we're in the FUTU trade. All right, looks like we've got a falling VIX. I go to a daily chart on the VIX, and I do have the VIX falling to 26.54, and I think based on what I'm seeing, I'm expecting the VIX to continue falling into next week. It could be very volatile, but again, I'm looking at it coming all the way back to 21 thereabouts, or even this ATR trailing stop. All right, so we're into FUTU. Keep an eye on this. Add this to my portfolio, and we'll go here. So I'm also long on Palantir. Just see if Palantir has an inside. All right, so we have a low here. Maybe this is going to be our high. ADM is an inside candle. So it is consolidating. FUTU is having trouble with that opening high. All right, so Tesla is tanking. Looking at the VIX is climbing, so we're going to mark see if we can mark an opening high and opening low on the VIX. So we've got this is the opening high, and this is the opening low. Not really getting a whole lot here on SPY. So it looks like we're going to have trouble today to the upside. We're sort of stuck in a holding pattern here on FUTU. And apparently that news on Tesla was not very good for the stock. Looking at it on a daily, we have this, we call it institutional price level we drawn here. And this is at 698.47. So we would have that as a level of support for Tesla. And for the SPY, it's having trouble with the 5-day EMA. ADM looks like it could be a good choice. Arthur Daniels Midland. 5-day EMA is at 85.23, so it has some room to go to clear that. So far, this has been a false breakout to the upside by FUTU. So looking at the VIX, the VIX is getting rejected off the opening low, so it looks like it's going to start moving back to the downside. So I'm going to add the VWAP. I don't think that's what I'm showing on my studies. All right, so now we have the opening range on our screen. And I don't see the VWAP line, which should be green. So based on the opening range, I'm going to go back through these in my list here. FUTU looks like it's going to be positive. Palantir, SPY. The opening range for the SPY is where we marked our opening high and opening low. So I'm going to remove these here from Tesla, and we're going to use the opening range established by the actual machine. I'm going to move the ones for the SPY as well because they are the same. And for Palantir, they appear to be the same. FUTU, which was our choice. And ADM. All right, so looking at the VIX, again, the VIX is now climbing again. It was. We didn't get rid of the opening high and low, so that appears to be where the struggle is. So we're gonna get some early volatility, it looks like. And at some point, we'll get a direction in this market. I'm expecting the VIX to fall. And it's going to continue to the downside. And as it does, then the market should make us move to the upside. I'm going to switch to a 2-minute chart and see if we can't take some of this oscillation out of the charts themselves. So ADM again, looks like it is it's going to be a good trade to the upside. Using the opening high and opening low, it hasn't broken that yet, but we can use now this opening range, which was the same. So ideally, we take a trade once it breaks through one or the other and then comes back and tests support. We're a bit early on FUTU, but I still think that's a good trade to the upside. Has an ATR of $2.44. And the one thing I like about FUTU is it is above all of its support. So if I add the primary study set, which is just the EMAs, you'll see here that the 5 days coming up to across the 50 to the upside, which would be bullish. This was an inside month, so this is a support level here. This was the monthly low from last year, and this is an institutional level we've drawn. So we're expecting this to be lots of support, and this is really, we think, a bullish indication for the stock. All right, so looking at that, we're going to sit in this for a minute. Just keep our eye on it. This is a fib level. It's above the VWAP. And it looks like it's going to break through the ORB. If it does, I'm going to add to this position. We're going to give it some time to figure out what it wants to do here. So the SPY is up for the day, but it's consolidating. It's really just, even though we had this spike up first thing in the morning, this is really a consolidation, which means it's going to break out one direction or the other. So if I was going to draw this, I would start with the top of this candle and go to the bottom of this wick. Well, I'll just use the bottom of the body here, because these are closing prices. And I would mark that as the area of consolidation for the SPY. Tesla, again, down near support. ADM, it too is consolidating. FUTU looks like is going to make its move to the upside. So I'm going to not wait. I'm going to take a little bit of risk here. I'm going to add to a position on this stock.
What are you buying here, Richard?
This is FUTU Holdings. The symbol is FUTU. They are the Robin Hood of China. I've been following them for a while, and So now it's breaking through the ORB or the opening high again. So I've been following them for a while. And if you look at the chart, at one point they were $181 stock, $181.44. Now it's trading at $35.14.
What are you buying? Which strike and expiration?
I bought the May 20 $35 call.
Okay. 54 cents.
Yes, I was fortunate enough to pay 43 cents for it.
Cool. I like that.
So we do have some volume here, which is good. And again, David, the one thing I like about this stock in particular is if you look at the daily chart, and I'm going to go back and show this. This is an inside month. So on the monthly candles, this is what you have. You have this is the month of April, and you have the high and the low inside the high and the low of March. So based on this, I marked the bottom. I did not mark the top, but I think I'll do that now. So this is a high of 41.36. 41.36. $41.36. This is inside month. Have to choose the right color for that to match the monthly, so I'll know what it is. And the target's going to be somewhat close because the previous high was not that high the previous month. So the high was 45.05. Inside month.
There's the VIX 2820.
Oh, yeah, it's falling. So then when I go to the daily chart here, if you're trading, for example, the strap, then using this as a trigger, you buy once it broke through to the upside. So if you're already in it, you simply add. But this is going to be another level of resistance here that you can identify using the inside candle. And this is going to be support. So when I saw the support level line up with this institutional line or this algorithmic line I've drawn, I knew this was going to be strong support. Ideally, buying off of this bounce would have been a good move if you're going long. But I like the fact that it is now above all of its EMAs. So it's above all of this noise or all of this, what would be resistance. So there's nothing to keep it from 41.36 now. That would be the next level of resistance for this particular stock. So I'm going to put back my study, the VWAP, back the RSI, go back to a 2-minute chart. And we're just going to keep our eye on this. So on the VIX, I see a hammer forming at the bottom of this move. And that's going to spell trouble. So the hammer's on this 5-minute chart. But we have 3 minutes before it closes, so maybe it turns into something else. Apparently, Elon Musk must have made a lot of enemies because Tesla's falling like a rock. Along with the value of my options in Tesla. So now that VIX candle, which was forming a bullish hammer, has turned into a doji. And now a hammer. So it's just very volatile here. Arthur Daniels Midland, still consolidating. FUTU still rising. Palantir consolidating. And we still have the SPY in a consolidation. So don't really know which way the SPY is going to break out, but it is going to break out. And when it does, it's going to be a solid move, either to the upside or the downside. Again, looking at the VIX on the daily, still believe the VIX is going to be bearish. It's below all of this resistance. So you've got this long candle resistance level, the blue line. There's also this institutional level, or algorithmic level, I like to call it. You've got all of the EMAs above pointing downward. So again, we're expecting the VIX to continue to decline, looking at some point for it to find support somewhere near its 25 area. 2516 is the number I have. May not, obviously may not be today, but it could. So we're just going to keep an eye on things here. All right, so FUTU, it moves an average of $2.46. So the low today is 34.11. If we add 246 to that, 36.57 would be the number. All right, so SPY is breaking out or breaking down. And the VIX is climbing. So that has an impact on our trade as well. So it looks like this is where we're going to find some buyers for the FUTU. I'm going to draw this as a demand zone. And the reason why I'm using this is because this is where it declined, buyer stepped in, and then it got pushed up. So I'm going to take the top of the body of this candle, go down to the bottom of the wick, and use this as a demand zone for FUTU. This is where I would expect buyers to step in. I'm going to draw this a little bit wider. If I go to a 5-minute chart, maybe I can get a better view. Yeah, so this is like a mini consolidation. All right, so there. SPY is down. So this would be the move to the downside. At least for now. So David, I think, your call was correct. Looks like we're starting this off to the downside, but I'm expecting at some point a reversal.
Yeah, that VIX held 2820, which is a big sign. And eventually it'll break it, but near term S&P SPY lower.
Yeah. Indeed, indeed. All right, so looking at FUTU, all right, we're in this demand zone here. So again, we're expecting buyers to come in because this was where we had this mini consolidation. And as a result of that, we drew a demand zone. If it falls through, then this becomes a supply zone and these buyers become sellers. So we're just going to keep our eye out here. We're going to use the ATR trailing stop as our stop loss. If we close below 34.38, then we would look to get out. We could also use this opening low because it appears based on that there is a lot of support at this level. Ideally, we don't want to get close to either of these, but depending upon the volume and a number of other factors, we'll have to look at whether we cut our losses here or cut our losses here. All right, so it looks like those buyers are coming in where we've got good volume here. So this demand zone appears to be holding. In the meantime, the SPY is melting down. But it looks like there's going to be support for the SPY here. There's an ATR trailing stop. Get my drawing tool. This is on a 30-minute chart. All right, so it looks like FUTU is holding on in this zone. We do want to see it move up again to the upside. All right, so we're getting a bounce on SPY off of the ATR trailing stop. Maybe. And the VIX is hitting resistance at the opening high. And it seems to have paused there, which is also where the opening range high is as well. And it's breaking through. So now I would expect the SPY to fall through this ATR trailing stop. And FUTU is consolidating in this zone. And SPY seems to be holding on at the ATR trailing stop. So, all right, looks like we may actually have found our level of support here on SPY. It looks like the VIX is going to run into some trouble here, this opening high, this ORB, OR range, opening range. I'm going to move this line because we don't need it because it's the same as this one. I'm going to get rid of this as well. So go back to SPY. Again, we've got good solid support here along this ATR trailing stop. Looks like this would be a place to buy. SPY to the upside. And for FUTU, we're breaking out of this consolidation. So those buyers did come in and they are now propping up the stock again. So this is a good example of how you can identify demand zones. So all I did here on FUTU, let me use a 1-minute chart. I went to the area where, and come on chart, I need you to, there you go. So I saw this move here, and then of course the stock declined, but then you can see there's like this mini consolidation and the buyers came in and drove the price up. So then what I did, I simply drew this zone. I took the top of the body of this candle here, the green one, and the red one, because this is just before the move to the upside. And then I took the bottom of the wick of the lowest one. So I could have very easily have just drawn this like this, but I just took it all the way over to the left. And then that tells me that this could be, and it's not always true, past performance, there's no guarantee of future success. This could be an area where if the stock falls back into this area again, where buyers come in and start to, again, buy the stock. And you've got a couple of other things that sort of help. There's an ATR trailing stop here on the 1-minute chart. So that's another indication of support. You've got a MACD that looks like it's flattening. So we're not out of the woods yet, but we think that we're going to get some buyers. So we've got here on the 5-minute chart as well, we have this inverted hammer. This inverted hammer signals reversal and is bullish. So we are now going to use that as confirmation. And we also have this ATR trailing stop on the 5-minute chart. On the 2-minute, all we have, of course, is this demand zone. But it appears like it is working. And we're getting a move back to the upside. All right, so if I went to a 5-minute chart, you could see that this is a pretty strong move, actually. Now we're going to hopefully break through the opening range again, and then maybe we can continue our path to the upside. Volume coming in here as well. SPY is still struggling. So the opposite is true for SPY. This is now a supply zone. So I'm going to draw this all the way across. So when SPY gets back here, they're going to be sellers waiting instead of buyers. So we have to keep an eye on that. All right, FUTU, we need you to continue moving up. Tesla appears to be quite anemic today, and it has a lot of overhead resistance. So you've got resistance at 698.47. You've got all the resistance here in the EMAs and the VWAP. Additionally, even numbers tend to become resistance. So 700 would also be a level of resistance for Tesla. And what we can see here on the 5-minute chart is that Tesla appears to be consolidating down here. So I'm going to draw this consolidation. Go to a 1-minute chart. And I'm going to draw this from here across. And again, we could take this actually all the way over to here. I'm using the top of this green candle right here. So Tesla's in a consolidation here, and we don't know which direction it's going to go. So the SPY has fallen through this ATR trailing stop on the 30-minute. Now it hasn't closed because it would have to be 10:30, and it'll have to close below. So I imagine FUTU is also in trouble. So we're back in this demand zone, and we are looking to see if the buyers are going to keep us here. So watching SPY is now at hit a high of 29. I'm sorry, not SPY, the VIX. And the SPY is back above the ATR trailing stop. So I go to a 1 minute chart. So that ATR trailing stop is still holding that support. We did have an oversold signal a couple of times on SPY down here. And we've got this move trying to get back to the upside. And then the MACD as well is trying to turn up. So we've got good volume here. We were oversold here and here, and the MACD is flat, it looks like here. So this is an indication that we may be ready to make the move up. This is a fib level. These light or short dotted lines. So this will be another level of support. And then of course the ATR trailing stop at 39.16. So let's check in with FUTU. All right, so FUTU, again, those buyers are still true to the zone. So again, we were expecting when FUTU came back here that buyers are going to step in and start to buy, and they have done so. So we're still getting support at this level. So you can use these zones for entries or as stop loss. So one of the things you could do if you're being very conservative is once you draw this zone, if it falls through, then you would look to exit, in particular if it comes back and it tests the zone. And then it, of course, starts to move back to the downside. So on a 2 minute chart, I'm going to go back to the 1 minute chart to give us a little bit more of insight into what's happening. Now we want to see a higher high. So we want FUTU and this next move up, certainly to get above this candle, which is at 34.98, but we really want to get above, we want to make a new high here at 35.40, ideally. So once we clear the opening range breakout, that's what we'll be looking for. SPY is still struggling. It's holding on that ATR trailing stop, but the VIX is creating some problems. All right, so we look like we might break the opening high again, the ORB on FUTU. This is a level of resistance. Looking at SPY. SPY is holding on above the ATR trailing stop at 30 at 390.16. And looking at the VIX hit this fib level here, and we've got this doji, almost a bearish engulfing, not quite. And then this move to the downside. So it could find, the VIX could find support at 28.78 because you've got that level and you've got the 50-day EMA coming up. Could also find support at 28.65. Any of these support levels here that are on our screen. One more look at the SPY. SPY has a lot of trouble above it. So you've got the opening range low. You have an ATR trailing stop at 391.80. And then you have the VWAP and you have a demand zone. So there's trouble in the works for the SPY to the upside. But we will see how it handles that move. All right, we got a nice move on FUTU. Great. So those buyers came in and they helped us out.
Nice move.
Yeah, we want to see a new high above 35.40. That would really give us some confidence in this trade. And I like the way it looks on the daily chart. I just think that on the daily chart, it just screams gonna do well. Putting up again the primary indicators here. When this 5-day crosses the 50 EMA to the upside, that's going to be some fuel for an upside move. So this could be a nice swing into next week with a target of ideally $45, maybe even 50 from this 35. All right, so we got a new high. Let me just put my indicators back up. All right, so we got what we wanted. We wanted a new high. This was the previous high. We have a new high of 35.42. We hit this fib level here, which is resistance. And of course, we're looking to break this as well. But we got good volume. All the volume, except for here. And even this was upside volume. Just so happens that it closed below. But all the volume, the strong volume is to the upside. This is a 1-minute chart. So if I go to a 2-minute, same thing. All right, so it's 10:31. I'm going to sit in this today, and I forgot what I said the target was, but let me just take a look here again. So we've got a low of, looks like 34.11. I'm going to take 34.11 and add $2.47.
I think you
So
said
36.58.
Okay. Yeah.
36.58 is our target. Not going to be greedy. I'll take 36. But we'll certainly be looking at that level. I'm going to just mark that on my screen so that I know. And let me just go to a chart that will give me that level. 36.58. Actually, what I need to do is to make this a little wider. $36.58 is my target. Per ATR. And we'll make that green. And there we go. So I'm going to be looking carefully when we get to this green line, depending upon whether we get there or not today. And at that point, I'll have to decide whether to exit or stay in and look for some additional movement to the upside. So I hope you guys have a wonderful, prosperous trading day today, and I hope this was helpful. And have a great, fabulous weekend.
Great job, Richard. See you soon.
All right, thank you guys. See you, Princess.
All right, have a great one.
Bye-bye.